I'm here today at CMA CCK Secondary School in Tunmun, and I'm just briefly interviewing two Form 1B students who are taking part in the QEF project with the British Council. Now, on the left is Saad Siddiqui, and on the right is Harsh Gupta. And the two boys have been working with two particular apps on iPads. One app is Tellagami, and one app is called Puppet Pals. So I'm going to ask first about the Tellagami app. Had either of you ever heard or used it before?
Well, I have never heard of Tellagami before. Never used it in school.
That's the same with me even.
Yeah.
So I never heard of it, but I came to know when I just looked at school or I knew at school.
Okay. And when we used it in class, did you find it very easy to understand and use quickly?
No.
It was very frustrating.
Why? Why is that
Because
so?
like you can't. There's limitations with character customizations. You can't customize it exactly as you want it, and then like when you're recording it, it randomly turns itself off, just crashes the app, and then like once you're drawing your background, sometimes it doesn't even show the background, and then like all of the suits, like we were doing of Mice and Men on the Tellagami. We didn't have it. We didn't have like farmer suits or anything. We had to put them in a coat, which looked totally weird for a book about farmers.
Right. Well, you were using essentially the free app, so a lot of the options were locked, right? So I'm not really sure whether or not we had those options if we'd paid for them. How about you, Harsh?
It was like for me it was really frustrating getting all those stuff and costumes. The character even didn't look like the people. And the sound, I guess it doesn't matter, but the amount or the time you need to speak, that's pretty limited, and we need a longer time, so that's a big problem.
Did you find that using the Tellagami and speaking like a character and talking about the character's issues in the story helped you understand the character a bit more?
Well, sort of. Like for Lenny, it was kind of annoying to keep his voice up, because his voice is basically, I don't
kind
know.
of heavy.
It's heavy, so it hurts our throat, but it sometimes helps us understand like the character briefly. Like for Lenny, his voice, by his voice you can tell he has some mental challenges. So overall, yeah, it helped us a bit.
Do you think that the Tellagami is worth using in class?
No, I would rather prefer Puppet Pals.
So you think that Tellagami, for what we did at least, doesn't really serve the purpose very well?
But Tellagami can be used for like giving a short message towards the world, like global warming.
For example, I made a Tellagami about how hard Tellagamis are, and
Yeah,
apparently the app didn't let Me.Arie download it.
Well, I think that you used it in a very meta way. Yeah. What about if you had, for example, more options available to you where you could create a character and resemble the size of the character, resemble the clothes they wore, move them around, for example? Would that be helpful?
That would be a bit helpful, but there's another problem that rises. Like you can customize everything like that. Like students will just spend hours upon hours just making the character, and then they'll take a few minutes. They won't even have enough time to finish it. When you start drawing for Puppet Pals, like you can draw, like you can put the chins in, put chins out, and that took us a long time to do.
So I could recommend this to install in Tellagami. Like, you go to internet and type in Mice and Men or George from Mice and Men, and then you can catch the picture, and Tellagami will try to like custom it by seeing the photo. That would be helpful, really helpful.
Okay, well, let's move on to Puppet Pals. I gave you a project in which you had to extend a story by the American writer Gary Soto, and the story was called Seventh Grade, about a boy's crush on a girl. And first of all, when I first gave you this project, what were your initial feelings about the project?
This is going to be good.
You thought it was going to be good, Saad, yeah?
And funny. I could do anything I wanted with the story.
Okay, so I gave you pretty much unlimited ability to be creative.
Basically, you made us be God. We can control. We can kill off any character we want.
You're welcome, Saad. How about you, Harsh?
Yeah, I felt really good, but at that point I never used and I never been in this kind of situation. I was kind of nervous, but later on I built up my confidence, worked this hard, and finally completed it with a joyful ending.
I see. Wow. So you just created a story about creating a story.
Yep.
Listen, I wanted to ask you as well. What did you think about working in groups on that app?
Nightmare. Total nightmare.
Why, Saad?
Because most of the group members, they don't want to do any work, so they just play. And then like when you tell them to do work, they're like, no, I'll do it later. And when you're like and then when you're like, okay, they're gonna do later, and then behind your back they're like, oh, the teacher said we have to go now. Oh, and then like they call you and they're like, you're like, no, I'm busy today. They're like, you never come. So it was pretty frustrating, and because their grammar was too bad. Like
also, yeah, that was just happened with me. But if you have a good partner like Saad, thank you. So
Does he owe you money or something, Harsh? You're being
No.
so complimentary. I'm wondering.
No.
I know,
He doesn't owe me
because our
money.
English is too good.
Okay. Well, listen. I wanted to ask you about that. What about specifically about the app? Is it easy to use?
yeah, it's easy to use. It's
Well,
really good.
sort of.
What do you mean, sort of? Clarify.
Well, if you give it to a science, a techno geek, they're like, oh, this is easy. But if you give it to someone like who acts like a 3-year-old, it's hard for them. But for me, it was overall easy because it's just button pressing.
Sometimes it's frustrating for me. So many times in the scene when we were practicing or making the scenes, I accidentally keep on pressing back. So we have to do it again and again. That was a bit frustration. But overall, it was really good. The app was easy to use, and the only problem I faced rather than back problem was like increasing and decreasing the character size.
It was too
I see.
sensitive, and also the mic, the how much the voice the app picks up is very high. Like it will pick up any excess sound. Like if even I move this book, it'll pick up the sound,
Right.
which is very frustrating when you're trying to like whisper and there's too much background noise that no one can hear you.
So it's hypersensitive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to lean in like this instead of go, yeah, oh, okay. But that just looks weird when you're doing it in front of people.
Let me ask you, first of all, Saad, what was the best and what was the worst part of doing the Puppet Pals project?
The best part was actually like being able to control what happens to them. Like in the ending of my story, I say they lived happily ever after until 8th grade, because that's when they broke up. But still they lived happily ever after, but not as boyfriend and girlfriend. So that was like the greatest part, like controlling what you can do. The worst part was the drawing, the recording, and stuff. If they let you do that in app, it would have been easier to do.
So you enjoyed the creative aspect, but the execution of it was problematic for you.
Yeah.
I see. And how about you, Harsh?
Yeah, same with me. But like I covered most of the story. Like scene 2 was storyline. I controlled it. It was pretty funny, and also I like controlling people. I was first time controlling people, so
But what did you find most frustrating about the project?
frustrating.
The sensitivity on the iPads.
Yes,
But Harsh, in your case, I know that you had some specific conflicts with your group, for example.
Yeah.
Was that a big drawback?
and that was one of the big drawback because of which our project delayed.
Did you find that you were working mainly on your own in the group?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, so I think in both of your cases, you've mentioned the group and the work with the group certainly affects the way you also look at the app, right? So if you'd had a fantastic experience in your group, then perhaps that would reflect on how you feel about the app as well. And if you were going, for example, into Form 2 next year, would you be prepared to do another Puppet Pal, for example?
Yeah.
Or would
Yeah.
you prefer to go to another creative app?
Another
Very creative app.
Okay.
I just like moving forward. like
Changing everything.
For example, in computer lesson, we are learning about Paint, and I already know how to use Paint on It, editing. I know how to do animation and still Paint.
Fantastic.
So we both decided to do coding.
Yeah,
I
we're
see.
learning code.
Yeah, wonderful. And so can you both do animation?
Well, I can do sort of animation. Like I tried doing like an animation on my phone, like of me walking. So I was like stop motion, and it was very frustrating, but it was very fun in the end to watch it.
How would you improve the whole process of the Puppet Pal project from beginning to end? What things could be improved for next year's Form 1 if they were going to do it?
Speech bubbles. Add speech bubbles.
Speech bubbles.
Yeah.
Because right now my group is the only one which are using the speech bubbles in the whole year.
Yeah.
Or so if speech bubbles, like you can do some fun stuff, like in the end, like I said, like that narration in the end. We have speech bubbles that Teresa and Vic go over Teresa and Victor's head that says, "I love her, I love him, I loved her, I loved him. What did I
Right.
ever see in him?" Or,
So actually thought bubbles.
yeah, thought bubbles.
Right. Yep.
So
How about you, Harsh?
I would like to recommend giving more creative or give a better drawing to reflect the image or the audience is seeing.
Okay.
I would also recommend the school providing some mics, because the mics on the iPad are terrible.
I see. So, do you think it's worth my while if I were to teach Form 1 again to give that Form 1 class the Puppet Pal project?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Give them a very strict deadline.
What do you think they can gain from doing this project?
So they can gain social skills, like how to talk to people, narration skills, speaking skills. Basically, they can, and creativity a bit. And then they can also gather some teamwork, how to work in a team. And also I recommend you don't let anyone change teams.
And how about you, Harsh?
Yeah, same with me. But Saad is not letting me to say anything. He's not taking all the points from my mouth.
That is Saad's weakness and his strength at the same time, all in one.
Debating.
So, Harsh, what did you gain from this? What did you learn from it?
I learned to control my group, but they didn't work that well. But I learned a bit. Also, I came to know my group better, know them a little more, understand their feelings.
What would you recommend to a teacher when you have groups and after a very short time you can see that the group doesn't function well, that it may jeopardize your project?
Mr. Zafran.
Calling Mr. Zafran and
Make him stand there.
That would
use
be
a
the
little
best idea.
use a little bit of intimidation to try and get the students in line. Is
Or
that it?
just get a poster. of
We
Mr.
could bribe
Zafran.
them.
Just take a picture of Mr. Zafran, make it look real.
Big Brother
and
is
just put it
watching
on.
you. I
And
see.
then and then right over his head, Big Brother is watching you, and put a camera in his eye.
Okay.
That
Or-
goes directly to him. That would
How
be
about you,
great.
Harsh?
Wait, I forgot my point.
Yeah, Saad probably said it anyway. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
You're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot. Bye.